Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just hit the link in the show description to support now.
There are a million reasons people start therapy. A breakup, burnout, a new job. Whatever your reason, there is one place to start. Grow Therapy meets you where you are with support that actually sticks. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you, not the other way around. They connect you with thousands of independent, licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions, nights and weekends. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. And if something comes up, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance at no cost. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0, depending on their plan. Grow accepts over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Visit growtherapy.com/start now today to get started. That's growtherapy.com/start now. growtherapy.com/start now. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed. Shop now for a limited time. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
Here at Blue Apron, we've been thinking a lot about the whole cooking thing. And we've decided you shouldn't have to cook. Introducing Dish by Blue Apron. Pre-made meals that are ready in 5 minutes or less. At least 20 grams of protein, a good source of fiber, and no artificial flavors or colors. Shop Dish by Blue Apron at blueapron.com. Get 50% off your first 2 orders with code APRON50. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Welcome to another edition of the TSS podcast, brought to you in association with Luke 1977 and Bowden and Dolphin, with your hosts Rob Carlos from Bob's Books and the legend that is Shaun Teal. He's here, there, and everywhere, and he's Tealey saying something.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the TSS podcast. It's been a couple of weeks since we did our last one. You all know the abbreviation by now. It is, of course, the Tealey Saying Something podcast. I couldn't think of the word podcast there for some unknown reason, even though I just said it a couple of seconds before. Shaun Teal and I got together about 3 or 4 years ago and decided that we'd write his autobiography. And we got on so well, didn't we, Shaun, that we've continued, and now we do this brilliant podcast, and I've been doing it for about 18 months now. So we're getting a good little following. Shaun Teal, how are you tonight?
I'm very well, Rob, thank you. A bit cold. It's a bit cold out there, windy and breezy and bitterly cold.
Hold it. You're from the north, I presume. Have you had your barbecue?
We still get cold in the north, believe it or not.
A t-shirt? I'll say it. Yeah, down south, they would, if your level of cold and their level of cold are 2 different things. Trust me, they really are. You lot can do barbecues at this time of the year. The people down south where I live certainly can't. But there you go. Right, okay then. What you've been up to the last couple of weeks then? I know you've been doing your ambassadorial role at Villa Park. Don't say freebies, Brownie. Don't say it. I know you're dying to.
Freebies.
To be honest, I haven't really done an awful lot more. I've been running around with Carol, the wife, obviously, because of the issues with the cancer. So we've had a lot of appointments, and being a chauffeur as I am, I have to do the running around. So I've not done a lot of anything. I've had a few trips to Villa Park, as you know. So. And that's about it, really.
Yeah, and obviously this goes without saying, but the whole of the Villa family is behind the Tealeys at this moment in time. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that you come as a pair. So,
Yeah,
and as I always say, we love our Tealeys.
it's appreciated.
Yeah,
Everybody that I've talked to knows that. So
good stuff. Good stuff. Right, okay, then let's talk Aston Villa. Fortress Villa Park has been dented. We've had all the best teams come down and we've beaten them. And then all of a sudden we get Everton and we get Brentford. No disrespect to both of them, but we lose by 1-0 in both of the games.
yeah,
And then we go to Newcastle and produce what I think is our best performance of the season.
totally agree.
Yeah, with that 2-0 win, and we deserve to win by 2 goals, at least 2 goals in that game.
Yeah.
So, what's been going on at Villa Park then? Tell us, Shaun Teal.
Um, well, I mean, the Everton game was a strange game because we were in total control of the game, really. They hadn't really threatened. And then, obviously, Pau Torres makes a mistake. And they end up, somehow, the ball ends up in the back of our net. And then we never recovered, really. We never looked like recovering. And then the Brentford game was a very weird game because until Sade was sent off, we were in charge. I mean, I was just talking to Andy then, and for the 10 minutes before the sending off, we looked like we were going to get our noses in front. And I think if we'd have got our noses in front, I think it would have been game over because they weren't really creating anything. But you've got to keep the back door shut at all times. And we lacked a certain amount of creativity in the Brentford game. With Yuri Tielemans not being there. Kamara not there, McGinn not there, Ollie
It's a
not
massive
there.
loss, isn't it?
Well, losing
to have
Newcastle,
to have your great central defence
yeah,
out.
yeah, and also missing Ollie as well because the one thing, people will moan about Ollie's goal ratio this year, but the one thing Ollie does is he stretches teams,
Yeah,
and that was so obvious with the win at Newcastle because we played a different way and Unai Emery had done his own work and knew they were going to press high. So, it was nice to see just Martinez get the ball and just ping it into channels, ping it to Ollie. And it worked because, we won 2-0. It could have been 5 easily. The
it could have.
chances were created. And we looked really solid at the back. So, and then obviously within there as well, we've got the European game, which was farcical to say the least.
Was you there for that game? I think it
Yeah, I
was.
mean, they just looked such an average side when the game kicked off. And it just looked like a matter of time. And then all of a sudden, little things started happening in the game. They got a couple of half chances. Emi Martinez made a couple of, he made it a good double save from a long range shot and then the rebound. And then we concede a goal where it's just, again, individual mistakes. Tyrone makes a mistake. We concede a goal. And we're going at half time 1 down, and everybody's thinking, yeah, we'll turn this around. We always do well in the second half type thing. And then they score within 2 minutes of the restart. And we're sat in the stand thinking, this ain't good. And then slowly but surely we got a bit of pace into the problem with the game from the first half is it was so slow. It was pedestrian at times, walking with the ball, not moving the ball quickly. And against teams like that, you've got to move the ball quickly. And once Morgan Rogers came on and we got going really. Once it got to 2-1, we were all sat in the stand going, "We'll win this now." You could just see it. You could see they were backing off. They weren't sure whether to press, whether not to press, and then obviously Tyrone makes up for his mistake in the first half with the header to make it 2
Great
each.
header.
Yeah.
Great central defender's header.
Yeah, just reading where the ball's going to go. Just forgetting about everybody else in the box and just making a beeline for where the ball's going to finish up, which is right in front of the keeper.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the 2 kids come on. So, and they get us the winner with a nice run down the line. It's funny because Unai Emery had absolutely berated the lad that crossed the ball 5 minutes before, berated him. It was quite scary to see how nasty he got, he was going mad at him, and the poor lad was looking at him as if saying, "What have I done wrong?" Next minute, he gets the ball, goes past someone, crosses the ball with a little bit of a pullback, and the young lad who's just come on, sort of sitting in the bottom corner. Great finish.
It's
Great
beautiful,
finish.
wasn't it?
Yeah. And of
Absolutely beautiful.
And of course, now we haven't got him because he's gone out on loan to West Brom. So,
yeah, what's your view on that one?
I just think it's a bit strange at the moment, given our injury list. I suppose the argument would be Barkley's back. Well, Illing Jr. is back, isn't he? Because he's come back from West Brom, where he was on loan. So
I heard he's gone somewhere else, but I could be wrong on that one.
Well, he'd have had to have gone before the deadline, wouldn't he?
I'm not. I thought he'd gone somewhere else.
Well, I thought the idea of him coming back was to go somewhere else. Yeah. You know, I mean, quite a few of the young lads, a few more of the young lads have gone out on loan for the remainder of the season. And at the end of the day, they're not going to get first team football at the level they're at. They need to go out on loan. They need to learn the trade, as it were, and come back stronger, come back bigger and stronger. You know, I mean, like young George Hemmings, made his debut in the European game, and I felt so sorry for him because it's that bit quicker, and I don't think he got up to speed quick enough, and he kept getting caught on the ball, and it didn't look great from the stand. Didn't help that the rest of the team were playing as pedestrians anyway, but Unai took him off at half time, which I think was a good move, given that he'd had quite a torrid first half. But he's the type of lad. He's obviously got ability. We can all see that. We saw it when he came on against Everton. But he needs to go out on loan. He needs game time at a serious level. Whether it be probably not even Championship, probably First Division, Second Division, just to get the game time.
Yeah. Even at 2-0, I mean, I know they scored their second goal in the 49th minute, but I sat at home, as I always do, as you know, armchair supporter these days. And I got the impression we were going to come back and win that game. And I'm really glad that we did, because and it's a big if, I should say, big if, we do get to the final, then I think that second leg home advantage is going to prove crucial.
I think you're right. I think from quarterfinals, semi-finals, to play the second leg at home is a big one, because you're just literally in the space where you know what you've got to do. You can go away from home, keep it nice and tight, play on the break, as we like to do anyway. And if we can get a lead and bring it back to Villa Park, you'd like to think we'd make sure we got through. But we need to sort our home form out. We need to get things running again in our direction. They spoke about Yuri being out for 2 months, so he's going to miss probably the quarterfinal, maybe in the semi-final. John McGinn might have a chance of being back by then, I would imagine. They were talking about 6 weeks for him. So, But the squad's got to do its job now. The Ross Barkleys of this world, Douglas Luiz's, they've all got to do their job.
What did you think of Dougie coming back? Did it make sense to you?
I thought it was a real shrewd move in the end.
I know. I did.
Knows the club, knows how Unai Emery wants to play, knows what it's all about. And it's funny because Dougie's form before he left dipped because we stopped playing in that forward midfield role. He became, because Kamara got injured badly, he ended up dropping into the defensive midfield, and I don't think that's his game. I think he can be the creator, but I mean, it was his first game back, and I actually thought he did okay, if I'm quite honest. Tammy maybe not as well, but Tammy was sort of fits and starts. He did little bits really well, held the ball up at times quite well and laid it off. But he probably just needs to get into that mindset of Unai Emery's game. He'd only been with us a few days, so it's difficult to just bed in. And we literally had no choice. With Ollie being unfit, we had no choice. We had to play him.
Yeah. Should he have played Ollie in that last game in the Europa League, in your opinion?
Well, we didn't really have anybody else. That's the issue, because obviously Marlon had gone to Roma. We let Gasson go to Palace, and that was obviously on the cards, and that's why he didn't use him. But I mean, what do you do? Do you just stick a kid up there and say, "I'll go and play"? It's not that easy, I don't think. Even whichever level Europa team you get, it's not that straightforward. So I think the plan probably was to play Ollie for half a game and then switch it to somebody else. But
Right. Okay. We'll talk more Villa in a minute when we introduce our guest. But obviously, we've got to be nice to our producer as always. He's got his fisherman's top on. He's obviously been on the boat today, and he's got the white beard to go with it. He obviously trying to catch up with me on that one. So, did you get a nice little present through the door with this? I think it's your 150th top or something like that. The penguin top.
Oh yeah, the one that all the influencers got. That one. No.
Is that what it was? So who? What do you mean? So did you get one?
No.
Oh,
No.
right. Okay.
I have never had so much as a sticker of Blues. Nothing.
And bad football for the last 50 years.
After 16 years of like doing nothing else but, do stuff for the Blues, I've not even had a sticker.
Right. Okay. Then how to win friends and influence people on a podcast.
Exactly.
By Chris Brown. What was it all about then? Because obviously myself and our guest are the same age here. So we would have been brought up on those, mid 70s games with Villa and Birmingham, and you had the penguin top then. So what is it all about? Because it to me, in the last 50 years or so, it's about the seventh time you've gone back to this kit.
Yeah, there have been a few abbreviations of it, haven't there? I think this one's pretty much close to the original, apart from having a different badge and a different logo on it.
Apart from those two things you've said, it's exactly the same, isn't it?
And the stripe's a bit narrower than the last one. Yeah, apart from that, it's exactly the same. But no, it is smart. I do like the way they've done the actual emblem, the sponsor, by making it sort of there but not there, if you know what I mean, sort of like faint.
Yes.
Yes.
I can see why they did it.
I was only saying to somebody the other day, in my whole life, I've only ever bought, I'm not a shirt person, I've only ever bought one shirt, even though I've got lots and lots of shirts that have been given to me, or for birthdays and so forth. I've only ever bought one shirt. Guess what that was?
Villa's 82 European Cup, Villa's 94 League Cup, Villa's 96 League Cup.
Close, but I don't wear pink. It was in fact the Leyland Daff, the Mark one.
Or as we call it, the Leyland Daft.
The Leyland Daft, yeah.
Yeah, the Leyland Daft. So that was the only one you ever bought?
Yeah. It's like I'm not a shirt person.
Yeah. Did you see Tealey go a bit funny there when you mentioned the word purchasing stuff?
Yeah. His hands went straight to his pockets, didn't they?
He did, just to check.
Yeah, his wallet one, yeah.
Yeah, he got his £1 note out, which he still thinks he can use. And the Queen was squinting her eye with daylight.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Shillings, didn't they?
Right. Okay, then. So we didn't have a guest last time. We've had loads of guests in 2025, but we started off with the three of us just having a good chat, and that was a good one last time around. But we're back to the guests. So we've got a book corner for this particular one. A good friend of mine, a fellow author. In fact, he's mentioned in my new book, which comes out on the 23rd of March, all about Villa from 2009 to 2023. And he even helped me do that book as well, because he gave me some good advice on it. So I'm very pleased to say that in the studio with us tonight, we've got the one and only Andy Dale. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Hello, Rob. Hello, Shaun. Hello, Chris.
How are you, Andy?
Hello. Great to be here. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Right. So let's get down to the nitty gritty with your books then. So we were born at the same time. So when Aston Villa won the league, I've mentioned that a few times to you, Chris.
In black and white.
This. Back in 1981, I was just 14, nearly 15.
Very good.
But just 14. And when we won the European Cup in 82, I don't think I've mentioned that in the 18 months we've been working together, Chris, but hey-ho, I was just 15. And you are the author of two books called Just 14 and also Just 15. And obviously the first one, the 14 one, is about the 80-81 season. And the second one is about the 81-82 when we won the European Cup. Andy, what made you write these books, mate?
I wrote a book before called Poems in the Bedroom, which is based on my time at college. It's sort of a comedy book, and I did that in 97.
Okay.
And the character there is called Jonathan Stadler, and it is really based on me. So a lot of the college stuff really happened. And one of the big things is, I mean, I was at college in 1986. So therefore, it was the year we got relegated. And obviously, Jonathan, being me, was a Villa fan. And the Villa bit was there. Sold well, enjoyed it. But I thought I really wanted to do a bigger Villa book as a novel. So it's semi-fictional. So the idea was my first season really was the 1980-81 when I was 14. I mean, saying that, I'd been a Villa fan since 74. I come from a family of Wolves fans. I have to mention that. Okay, big brother.
Somebody has to.
Fan. Yeah, it's what happened. And my granddad brought us tracksuits for Christmas 1974 from C&A, the old shop. Yeah,
I remember that.
He got a yellow one and a purple one. My brother had the yellow one, claimed it was a Wolves one, his team. Mine was purple, and I started to cry. So my granddad then puts me on his knee. He thinks really fast. He thinks it's the colours of Aston Villa, the team who won the FA Cup the most times, 7. And from that day, I was a Villa fan. I followed everything, the 75 final on my lucky radio, as it was. 77 went to my first game in 76. But because we live in Wolverhampton, my family weren't Villa fans. I only got to go occasionally, birthdays, Christmases. But I was always promised when I was 14, I'd get my first season ticket. Yep. So therefore, the book is really about a season. It's about school friends who all support the West Midlands teams. It's all black country, really. You've got Wolves fans, Albion fans, Villa and Walsall. No blue noses. Yeah, but
you have to make it interesting, don't you, Andy?
Well, I might in the book or the film knock one in there, but so at the moment, it is a case of how it is Monday morning, going to school if your team's lost. But that year, the Villa didn't lose too many games. So it was a great season. I didn't have my season ticket till the following season. I went to see about 8 games that season, including being at Highbury.
Yeah.
It was one of those things that just happened at the end that a family friend was going to Highbury and had a spare ticket. So that was quite an amazing day. So when I actually started to write the book, it's like a bit of a diary, a bit of a Adrian Mole sort of effect. So it's a school year during the season. All the games each month, it tells you what happened, but it's following them on the radio, on CFAX, in Rumbelows windows. Because, I mean, these days, you get the goal before it's even scored, don't you?
Yeah.
They're watching a live game and you get a notification, the ball's in the net, and you've not seen it. Back those days, it was a case of, we've got to find out. CFAX page has got to change. The goal horn on the radio, and it's all part of it. So I started to write it as a bit of pleasure. I enjoyed it. It took off. When it came to a title, I thought the big thing is we only used 14 players. So obviously we've got 14-year-old turning 14. And one of the interesting things is my 14th birthday was in April that year when the Villa went top against Leicester, winning 4-2. And it was the same day that Bucks Fizz won the Eurovision Song Contest. Aldeniti won the Grand National.
Absolutely.
And there was a boat race.
Yeah.
So it really was. I had a chopper bike. So it's one of those ultimate sort of times, turning 14, the best year of my life, really, and having the Villa finally win the league. I mean, I was at the Albion game with the Brendan Batson back pass.
Good old Brendan. Good old Brendan.
And the ball stuck in the mud, didn't it? Peter was there. The actual Ipswich game, the home game, we had a car crash on the way. So we actually didn't actually get there. We were stuck at Spetty Junction. We went back, listened to the radio and hearing sort of Alan Brazil score and Ipswich beating us 2-1. So that's the idea of Just 14. It's to show a different time. It's when you got the muddy pitches. There was the sort of the hooliganism things. There were the local rivalries. You got a few glory hunters and Liverpool fans. There was no Man United fans then. It was all you support your local team. And so that's what really just 14 was.
It's not just about football as well, is it? You talk about what was on TV. You go through the whole 1981 experience, don't you?
Yeah.
So it's the music of the time. And as soon as I picked up the book, and thank you for sending it to me and Tealey, I was back in 1981 straight away. And what you was talking about was what I experienced as well. So it is a fantastic book. Has it sold well for you, Andy? Because I think you've had a lot of sold out on this particular one, haven't you?
It sold 50,000. It's my biggest sellers, yeah, like I say. And I'm self-published.
Wow,
so
that is
I
good.
do pretty well on ones I sell from my bookshop. I get a good percentage on. The Amazon ones is quite small.
I know. Yeah, I know it works. So you sold 50,000 of your book.
Yep.
When I did one with Tealey, I sold 50, but that was a difference.
And Rob and Tealey bought 49 of them.
Yeah, and there was one shop that had rickety tables, so they bought quite a lot of them as well.
Yeah.
Tealey, I love you. You know, I'm only joking. So, Highbury then, last game of the season.
It was amazing. Yeah,
it wasn't just. Yeah. Wasn't it just? On the morning of it, my uncle had got tickets for us. So on the morning, he worked for West Midlands buses in those days, and obviously it was Wumpty, wasn't he? If you remember.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So right by Villa Park, he went, and we were told we had, I don't know, about 10 West Midlands buses that we went down on. And we were given a pep talk by the people that had organised it. And they said, whatever you do, right, there's going to be a good 50, 60,000 there today. Height of the hooligan days, as we know. Yeah. Whatever you do, don't show that you're Villa fans. And I questioned, but we're coming down on West Midlands buses.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it was a good point. So, but 20,000 of us in that clock end. And it really was around 20,000.
Yeah, it was totally.
We were sardines, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was behind the goal for the first half, right by where the clock was. And because of the amount of people coming in, I ended up going to the other side. And for the second half, I could only see one side of the pitch. So I didn't see much of Villa attacking, but then nobody saw much of Villa attacking that day. We really did have our worst performance on the day when we needed our best.
There are a million reasons people start therapy. A breakup, burnout, a new job, whatever your reason, there is one place to start. Grow Therapy meets you where you are with support that actually sticks. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you, not the other way around. They connect you with thousands of independent, licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions, nights and weekends. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. And if something comes up, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance at no cost. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0, depending on their plan. Grow accepts over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Visit growtherapy.com/start now today to get started. That's growtherapy.com/start now. growtherapy.com/start now. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side, your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed. Shop now for a limited time. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
But what a wonderful time. And of course, Sir Bosco Yankovic.
Go Yankovic.
We will never,
Bless him.
people of our age group will never, ever forget that name. Never forget that name. There was an Arsenal book that come out when they moved from the to the Emirates from Highbury. And one chapter was called The Transistor Radio Match. And I thought, I'll have a look at this. So I read it. It was about that game when Villa came to town to win the league. Because if you remember, none of us were watching the match. It was all listening to people with the transistor radios. So
it was incredible.
Oh, really totally. Absolutely. And I still remember it to this day. No M40 in those days. So we all came back on the M1. And, just stopping on the M1, because there was traffic and everybody getting out of the buses. Can you imagine the health and safety of that now, of these days, to get it done? What kind of research did you do for it in terms of, obviously you remember the Villa games, but in terms of what was going on around 1981, what did you do?
I got a lot of magazines. I got the Radio Times, what was on. And at least now you've got sort of the internet, so you can search and it'll tell you the match of the day, which games are on. It's really good.
Yeah.
So, program-wise, you've got sort of Dallas and Who Shot JR. That's all there. So a lot of reading newspapers, doing the research. But a lot of it I remember. My memory back from that time is a lot better than it was like sort of a year ago.
I agree.
Yeah. It's like sort of you can name the cup final winners, can't you?
Yeah.
From 75 to about 90. Then it stops.
Yeah, absolutely. And the League Cup, I always remember it up until 2011. And then I completely and utterly forget about it. When a team accidentally won the cup that year. But anyway, that's just having a little bit of a joke with Mr. Brown as always. So you then decided to make book 2 on on those times, and you did the European Cup one.
Before that, Rob, comes the film.
Yes, I was going to mention that after, but if you want to do that now, that's great.
What happens is, like I say, just the 15 one was never really planned at that point.
Right, okay.
It was only actually after the film I got approached by a director, a Villa fan, who'd read it and thought it would make a really good film. And we started to work on that, and we did a trailer. I hope people have seen the trailer. We'll give them a link later. But then I decided it was time for the sequel. And obviously made sense to be the European Cup winner next season. So I wanted to sort of keep the format. So I called it just 15. It could be Rotterdam.
Yeah.
Because the only 15 thing really is my age at the time. Yeah. But that was probably more, it's not as personal. It's more sort of other people's experience. In that book, I won't give it away, but the lad goes off to Rotterdam without his parents knowing. Well, he was somebody I'd met through the filming of Villa Fan. It was actually his story. So I've used lots of stories together on that one.
How did the film come about then? Tell us a little bit more about how that interest went and what's been going on over the last 2 or 3 years with it.
It's a slow burner. That's what I will say. I was approached by the director to say, make it be a great film. So we met, we started conversations. We got a film company involved, a local one called Mockingbird. And we decided the best way to do it was to do a promotional trailer. So we spent £25,000. We sort of fundraised quite a lot of it. And we put on this 8-9 minute trailer, which is interestingly filmed at my old school. Now, the school I actually went to in the 70s, 80s was closed down 15 years ago, but it's still there. So when they were looking for a school to film it in to look like the 81 feel, we actually approached them and said we could use the school. And I really wanted to pay tribute to the 14 players, obviously at the time 13, because Eamon DC died some years ago. So the idea was all the remaining players would actually be in the final film, so they'd have cameos. So that's why in the trailer, we actually got Gary Shaw, Tony Morley, Des Bremner, and Kenny Swain. And they were all really keen to be involved. And we just gave them jobs, like made Tony into a gardener. And he loved the role. Kenny Swain's now an ambassador for the film. He's been great and has talked about it on the telly and all sorts of things. So we had the launch of this trailer in November 22. Okay. It was in Stourbridge. We had probably 500 people there, including a lot of Midlands legends from the media and from all the teams. John Richards, Mellies from the Wolves. We had Ali Robertson from Albion. There was probably a Birmingham one there. Yeah, I think who it was later. And a few Villa players. And it was quite amazing because that very night, Brian Little was sitting by me on the table and had a phone call from the owners that they got Unai Emery was going to be appointed.
Oh, right. So it was the day. It was
on the very day it is, yes. And then we announced it. So we then played the trailer. It went really well. The sad thing is the next 2 years went a bit slow. The company we were using didn't quite promote the film as we'd hoped, and we didn't get the investment. The club right behind it all along. We've had good conversations there, but we didn't get the funding to take to the next step. In the end, about 5 months ago, it was decided it needed a big script. It needed to have a script writer, award-winning, take it on and do the final script. So we have a script writer called Claire Bennett, who used to do The Doctors on TV. That was amazing. She won lots of awards for that.
Yeah.
And she's Birmingham based, and she's currently, hopefully, in the next 2 weeks, finishing the version of the script that we will then take and hopefully the end of this year get in production. That's the aim.
So in terms of what Claire, did you say Claire?
Claire Bennett, yes.
Yeah, Claire Bennett. In terms of what she's doing, has she been true to what you wanted it to be? Has she spoke to you about the process? To that
because people before making it more gritty and going away from what I wanted. Yeah. It is a comedy. It's a feel-good film. It's the 80s. It's all this. So she's done that. And interestingly, in November last year, we took her on the Villa tour of the stadium so she could really understand what it was like being a Villa fan and get the real feel of it.
That is superb. And when are you hoping to have it, released as a film? You say it's a slow burner and obviously it's taking its time, but, have you got any dates in mind or years that...
Something needs to happen this year. Hopefully, when we've got this final script, then the next few months are going to... We've got a few companies like Sony Classics who are already interested, but once we actually have that, we'll then really sort of push it out there.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. And you're also, I saw it on Facebook a couple of days ago, you're also involved in a brand new Aston Villa book as well. So you're keeping yourself busy there. Tell us all about that one, mate.
I decided, it was actually sort of last month, come back from a game, it was, and I thought, well, the next game is 3 days away. And already I'm excited about the next game. This is a total addiction. I'm just completely more obsessed with the Villa now than I ever have been, which is just odd. Other things in life happen, but the Villa, like I say, I suppose these days social media is all the time, isn't it? There's all these podcasts. Every time you open your Facebook, you've got all these groups and all these different conversations going on. So I realised I am addicted. I mean, probably I first noticed it during COVID because before the football came back on the telly, for those first few months, I was dreadful because my mind had nowhere to go to.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So it's called My Aston Villa Addiction. And also my 50th from my first game will be April this year because that was Middlesbrough 76 in April.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be 50 years this April. So it's going to cover the 50 years me as a Villa fan. A lot of it will be shared memories of the Villa fans. It'll be the emotions, the tears, the whole lot. How the ground's changed, the different kits, the managers, the whole lot. But also some of my personal stuff, like the film will get involved, and how on my first wedding day, I took my wife to the Villa in a wedding dress.
There are a million reasons people start therapy. A breakup, burnout, a new job, whatever your reason, there is one place to start. Grow Therapy meets you where you are with support that actually sticks. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you, not the other way around. They connect you with thousands of independent, licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions, nights and weekends. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. And if something comes up, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance at no cost. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments, you just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0, depending on their plan. Grow accepts over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Visit growtherapy.com/start now today to get started. That's growtherapy.com/start now. growtherapy.com/start now. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side, your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed. Shop now for a limited time. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
This is one of those interesting stories and ended up being a confession on Simon Mayo's confession show. Because we left the reception in the marquee. I got my season ticket ready. And in those days, I had a stepdaughter who had a child season ticket. And if anybody went an adult, they had to sort of put the price up, go and pay. Because we were so late, my wife in a wedding dress on a half-price season ticket went in. So I confessed to Simon Mayo about sort of cheating the Villa of that bit of money.
And how long ago was that, Andy?
That was 2003. We played Leicester, won 3-1, and girl scored 2, and I missed the first 2 goals. You see, I'm obsessed, aren't I? But that was the first wife. The second one's different.
What has been your fate in that 50 years? We'll open this up to Tealey in a minute so we can ask some questions as well. What has been in that 50 years? My first game was in the 74-75 when we were in the Division 2, and with Man United, and young Man United fans today think I'm joking when I talk about it, but that was my first season, and it was against West Brom. Was my first ever game that I can remember. I've been taken down earlier, but I don't remember that. But the West Brom game was the one that did it. And like you, I've got so many memories in the last 50 years or so. And obviously the main one being Shaun signing for Villa. But, what would be, stop shaking your head there. What would be your favourite ever times as a Villa fan?
This is going to seem really bad, right? But Shaun's Tranmere goal on that semi-final was one of the real highlights. I've been waiting for another final to actually get us to Wembley when it had been so long since Rotterdam. I really didn't think it was going to happen. And the way that Tranmere game went, I mean, the first leg, we thought we were going to win easy and we're 3-0 down. And then Daly, and it was just amazing that season, scored that last goal to make it 3-1. But then Posey should have been probably sent off, shouldn't he, in the second leg? But we came back, and it's just one of those moments.
Obviously this isn't the book that we wrote, but tell Andy what it was like when you were getting ready for the game and you could feel the fans that were there whilst you were in the dressing room.
Yeah, I mean, the Tranmere game was strange in a way because, for me, it's still the best atmosphere I've ever witnessed at Villa Park. You know, we had the Blackburn in the Cup, and obviously we had Bayern Munich a couple of seasons ago. But it was the whole scenario of the club playing "We Will Rock You" in the background for the whole game, And then obviously no one had come back from 3-1 to get to the final. And yet we had this massive belief because of Daly's goal at Tranmere. We had this massive belief that we were destined to get there. And obviously, it's written in folklore now. Dino scores early. I get the second with the diving header. Aldo gets brought down. As Andy said, Bozzy probably should have gone, but didn't. And then Aldo scores the penalty, and we're sort of back to square one in a way. We're back to Daly and being the hero again with 2 minutes to go with the header from Tony Daly's cross. And then the one moment that I never get out of my mind is Liam O'Brien hitting the inside of the post in extra time, and it actually bouncing off the post and going behind Bozzy. It went literally behind Bozzy. If he'd have struck a leg out, they put it in his own goal. And then obviously the penalties. We could have quite easily not got to Wembley because of the penalties, because they had at least one penalty to get through. Rico did his usual trick of trying to knock the North Stand down. Hugo tried to snap the crossbar. But Bozzy came up with 3 unbelievable saves, and which makes it all the more probably painful for Tranmere, simply because they thought he shouldn't have been on the pitch, and that might have changed everything. I heard a very funny story because obviously I left Villa in '95 and went to Tranmere. All the lads were still there, and it was always a talking point in the changing room. I got some stick the day I walked in, but I also heard the story about them getting the coach back to Prenton Park. They were going in the bar at Prenton Park. I think it was already prearranged, and they actually smashed the bar up. The players, they were that angry. They destroyed the bar and all got fined for it. So it was like a double whammy. They lost the game and then got fined for smashing the bar up.
Wow, I didn't realise they'd done that.
Yeah, I mean, some of the stories I heard after about what went on after, they just lost the plot, basically. They felt they'd been cheated in a way. And even by the time I got there, which was a year later, more or less, they still talked about it like they were robbed of the chance of going to Wembley.
They still mention it.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, you said, didn't you, that when we were writing the book that it wasn't banter, was it, with them? They were quite facetious about it.
Yeah. Especially my first, I don't know, month or so. It was always brought up. There was plenty of people walking around with big chips on the shoulders about it. And obviously you become one of them because you're in the squad, you're playing in the games. You're training every day together. And it sort of peters out in the end, and it just becomes banter. So from the sort of guarded, nasty remarks that were there at the first month, it sort of peters out, and then you get accepted into a changing room. It's always the same when you're moving clubs. It takes you a while to be accepted. I remember when I left Bournemouth and came to Villa. I turned up on the Tuesday morning. We were flying to Germany later that day for pre-season, and we trained at Cadbury's. And I turned up, didn't know a soul. I tell a lie, I did. I knew Kev Richardson, because Kev had been an apprentice with me at Everton donkeys years earlier. So I actually knew Kevin, but I didn't know anybody else. So it's always a weird feeling. It's like, we just spoke about Douglas Luiz coming back to the Villa, and it must have been so different for him coming back in this time because he knew everybody. He knew the manager, he knew the coaching staff, he knew how we played, he knew an awful lot of the players. So I'd like to have been on a fly on the wall and see how his going back was to me changing clubs. I mean, it's he probably had a totally different feeling when he went to Juventus because he wouldn't have known anybody. And I think that gets you a long way. If you know a couple, 2 or 3 players there, then it's easier to settle. I knew a lot of the Tranmere lads because I kicked half of them, and those I hadn't kicked, I'd played against. So, and Eric Nixon obviously was in goal the day of the semi final. All he ever spoke about was how hard I hit the penalty because he thought he wasn't going to get in the way of it. So there's no way he was going to get in the way because I probably took his head off because I hit it that hard.
Well done, John Wayne.
That don't go there because it was never a truth. I did a podcast the other day actually for one at the Villa, and that was one of their questions, and I went, well, it's just not true. It never happened. It was only said by the commentator on the day. Ron Atkinson never called me John Wayne. It just never happened. So where they decided to pluck that from, I do not know.
Yeah, perhaps he meant John Wayne Bobbitt. Like that. When I wrote
Rob, did we give Tealey permission to go and speak to another podcast?
Well, was it with Kate and Alan?
It's clause 15, stroke 3.
Yeah, exactly. Was that with Kate and Alan, the official one?
No.
Oh, okay.
Is it something like Trinity Talk or something like that?
Okay.
Oh, it was all right. It was good. A lad called Will.
Oh, okay.
So
when I was doing
about my career, basically.
Yeah. So that took about 3 minutes. What did you talk about for the rest of the time? So when I did the League Cup book, the history of the League Cup a couple of years ago, I was looking at all the semi-finals that had taken place from 1960 in its original times to 2024. So I covered the first 64 years of it, and I honestly cannot. When I was doing the semi-finals, I can't think of a better one than that Villa Tranmere game back in '94. But Chris, you had a very good one in 2011 as well, which was quite similar to Villa's in some ways. You played West Ham, didn't you? Lost 2-1 in the first leg. And then Colton Cole scored to make it 3-1 overall. And then at half-time, you went in one down and scored 3 goals.
Yeah. What a goal from Colton Cole there.
It was a great goal, wasn't it?
It's a beauty. I thought it was all out. I did then, but yeah. Oh, what a game. What a game.
So that's enough airtime for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
more than all again.
Right. I want to ask everybody this particular one, and I want to go back to the game against Brentford on Sunday. Right. So I don't know if you're friends with Andy Shaun on Facebook, but after each game, Andy comes out with 14 things from that particular game. So he keeps the theme of his book going, and then brilliantly does a good little spin on it at the end for the book and where to get it. I love the way he does that. I think it's the best after match comments that I'll read. It makes a lot of sense to me. But let's just go back to VAR a minute. The ball was out. I don't dispute that for a minute. It wasn't clear and obvious at that moment in time. Brentford players didn't really stop, in my opinion. But I will admit that ball went out. What I can't stand is the fact that it went all the way back 19 seconds to basically pick up on it. We constantly talk about VAR on this show. It's absolutely killing the game again. And then to have, a 3, 4, 5 minute break before they, what epitomised it for me was the way that, obviously you guys were probably there, but the way that Tammy was looking. You can always tell with Tammy. He wears his heart on his sleeve and you can see on his face, but, just standing there for 5 minutes not knowing whether you've scored a goal or not. It's just absolutely awful. Views, guys.
Well, why was it so long? Well, I don't accept. The ball was out, right? The ball was out. So why are they taking 4 minutes? It must have been 4 minutes to actually decide what are they arguing about for that 4 minutes.
Yeah, correct. As far as I'm aware, Tealey, you know a lot about the game. As far as I'm aware, VAR doesn't come into play unless it's clear and obvious.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. It wasn't clear and obvious. at that moment in time. Why on earth was VAR involved in something that far back?
The one thing I would question with the whole scenario of the ball going out, when was the last time VAR got involved in a throw-in?
Yeah.
They've never been involved in a throw-in because that's not part of their procedure. So why all of a sudden do they see the right to stick their noses in for the first time ever on whether the ball was in or out? You know, I get the Newcastle one the previous season that they couldn't prove either way, so it was left alone. But we're in our own corner, and they choose to question it, which they've never done before. So that would be my argument. Why all of a sudden have VAR stuck their noses in a throw-in of all things? You know, they don't stick their noses in half the things they should do anyway, and then they go and do that. You know, I mean, it's like the whole scenario, and I know we're whinging a bit because it's Villa, but it's like the whole scenario at Old Trafford last year. Yeah. Because the referee gives a decision, they can't go back on it with Morgan Rogers' goal. Well, the referee didn't give a decision because he believed the ball hadn't gone out. So why can they then stick their noses in? Surely the referee's got to be able to referee, because it's getting to the point now where they're not refereeing. They're on the microphones more than they're actually refereeing the game.
And that is the crux of it, in my opinion. That the lines people and the referees are not allowed to do their job with VAR.
No.
And those people that sit in Stockley Park and take 4 or 5 minutes to make a decision, I just don't get it. It's an absolute killer of football. And I think Neil Warnock came out with the best thing about something that was to do with offside. If you can't tell it's offside within 30 seconds, you leave it. You leave it.
And we're still having this ridiculous thing where we can see from the stand that the player's a mile offside. Yet they don't put the flag up. They go all the way through. They go all the way through to either gives the ball away, or he has a shot and it's saved, or the ball ends up in the back of the net, and then the flag goes up, and it's like, oh my! Why don't you just put the damn thing up? If as a linesman, you can see that player's offside, get your flag up. Stop messing about. You know, because there's been the argument about people getting injured. You know, the Forest lad got injured, didn't he?
He did.
Fell into the post. What did he do? Did something to his spleen. Did he puncture his spleen or something?
He did. Yeah, he did.
And missed a big portion of games.
Yeah.
That can't be right, because players' health's got to be first and foremost. And if VAR is creating that point where maybe they're not as safe as we thought they were, then surely that just can't be right in the game.
Exactly. Right, it is coming up to 7 o'clock. It's been a wonderful conversation. Andy, where can we get your books from?
All we have to do is Google Just 14, the movie. You'll find lots of stuff about the movie there. It's always a number 14. So just 14, the movie is one word. Books, Amazon, you can buy them from. If you just do Andy Dale and Just 14. I have got an online shop, but best thing to do is go Amazon at the moment, to be honest.
Brilliant. Apparently, there is a Birmingham City version of Just 14, and it's about how many times they've been relegated from the top league, but that's a different story entirely.
And how many is that? Just 15? Is that just 15?
Yeah, that's just 32 now or something like that on there. As always, I'd like to thank our sponsors, as I didn't do at the start of the show, and they'll have me for it. So a double thank you to Luke77 and to Bowden and Dolphin Signs for all their continued support. It's about time we had some new stuff off Luke. Tealey.
Yeah, I've not had a free top for at least 2 years.
Andy, that's why he started to play football, because he could have a free kick. That was the only reason why.
Can you not do a Birmingham City one just so that I can have something free?
What, a Birmingham City sponsor?
Well, anything.
Well, you've already told us that you don't get anything from
exactly.
Birmingham
City. I mean, couldn't he make something Birmingham City for me? Pretend.
Well, Luke?
Yeah.
Do you want to do? Should we do a trophy cabinet of all the times you've been relegated?
He's not allowed to. He's not allowed to print shit across the front of a shirt.
No, there's no need to say that about our Brownie.
Right, Ed.
You know we love him. We could do one where we could get a T-shirt of most FA Cup defeats by non-league. Couldn't we?
Yeah, could do, yeah.
We could do that one and then show the city of Altrincham or where it is on the map and Kidderminster. But anyway, that's a different story. Andy, it's been an absolute pleasure. We will have you back
Thank you
on
very
when
much.
your book is coming out. Keep in touch. Keep doing those 14 points. If you notice, I always make a comment and say that's great. Ignore the people that are too trigger happy.
Any comments are accepted, good or bad. I'm always happy.
Exactly. Right, guys. That remains all that remains to say is thank you to Chris and to Shaun and to Andy, and all the very best to our lovely Carol Teal. We're all rooting for you, darling. You know that we love our Tealeys. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Have a good one, guys.
Good night.
Yeah.
Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
Thanks, Andy.
Pleasure, yeah. Good to find information out like that.
Cheers, guys. Speak to you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Everyone.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed. Shop now for a limited time. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
That ugly red couch you've had for a decade? It's been living with you way longer than you ever thought it would. Because let's face it, great quality furniture just feels out of reach. Or it used to. Until you found HomeSense. The days of overpaying for good taste are done. Now, you can fill your home with the standout pieces you've coveted but couldn't afford. And you can finally kick that sad sofa straight to the curb. Welcome to HomeSense, the home of no compromise.
Did you know 39% of teen drivers admit to texting while driving? Even scarier, those who text are more likely to speed and run red lights. Shockingly, 94% know it's dangerous but do it anyway. As a parent, you can't always be in the car, but you can stay connected to their safety with Greenlight Infinity's driving reports. Monitor their driving habits, see if they're using their phone, speeding, and more. These reports provide real data for meaningful conversations about safety. Plus, with weekly updates, you can track their progress over time. Help keep your teens safe. Sign up for Greenlight Infinity at greenlight.com/podcast.